There is a stillness to the outback that fools you. You stand at the edge of it in the late afternoon and the land just opens. Red earth running flat to a horizon so far away it seems to curve. Spinifex grass catching the low sun. A sky so wide and so empty it feels like nothing could hide out here, because there is nowhere to hide. It looks like the most honest landscape on earth. Bare, open, every rock and every shadow laid out in plain view. You breathe out, you let your guard down. There is nothing here, you think, just heat and distance and silence. And that is the mistake, because the outback does not hide its dangers behind thick jungle or deep water, the way other wild places do. It hides them in plain sight, in a burrow under the sand you are standing on, in the still shade beneath the only bush for a mile, coiled in a wheel rut on a dirt road, exactly the color of the road itself. This is one of the harshest inhabited landscapes on the planet, a place that has spent millions of years teaching everything that lives here to disappear. And the things that survive out here have learned that lesson better than almost anywhere else on Earth. Today we are counting down 13 dangerous animals of the Australian outback, ranked not simply by how much harm they can do, but by how completely they vanish into a landscape that looks like it has nowhere to hide anything at all. From the ones lying in the open, you would walk straight past, to the one at number 1 that locals in the remote stations have genuinely learned not to go looking for. Before we start, if you like the kind of thing that makes you look twice at country you thought was empty, take a second to subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel. And I want to know one thing while you are here. Which part of this country are you watching from tonight? The red center, the far north, somewhere on the other side of the world entirely? Drop it in the comments, let's get into the list. Number 13. The bull ant. We begin with something you could cover with a coin, and something you have almost certainly walked within inches of without a second thought. The bull ant is not like the ants you know. It is big, up to an inch and more, with long jaws you can see with the naked eye and eyes sharp enough to track you as you move. It does not swarm mindlessly. It watches. It turns to face you. And unlike most ants, the bull ant does not bite and leave it there. It grips with those jaws and curls its body under to drive in a sting from the other end, again and again, pumping in venom each time. The pain is immediate and disproportionate for something so small. For most people, it is a savage, throbbing few hours. But bull ant venom is also a known trigger for severe allergic reaction, and in Australia, stinging creatures like this have caused deaths through anaphylaxis, sometimes far from any help. They nest in the open ground of exactly the places people camp and walk, and they will come out to defend that nest with a speed that surprises everyone who meets them. Number 13 sets the theme for everything that follows. Out here, small does not mean harmless. It usually means you did not see it coming. Number 12. The redback spider. Somewhere in the outback tonight, in the dark underside of a picnic table, in the lip of a rusted water tank, in a boot left out on a station veranda, there is a small black spider with a red stripe down its back. The redback carries a venom that acts on the nervous system, and drop for drop, it is among the more medically serious bites on the continent. A bad one brings on waves of pain that spread from the bite, heavy sweating, muscle spasm, and a sickness that can last for days. She is not aggressive. She is small, and she would far rather hide than fight. The problem is entirely about where she chooses to hide, because she has a genius for picking the exact spots where people put their hands and never look. The underside of things, the inside of things, the forgotten corner of the shed. Before an anti-venom existed, the redback killed. Today, deaths are extremely rare, but the bite remains one of the most common serious envenomations in the country, precisely because this spider lives so comfortably alongside people in the driest, most built-up edges of the bush. Number 12 is the reminder that in the outback, the danger is rarely out in the open country. It is in the small, dark spaces you reach into without thinking. Number 11. The mulga snake, the king brown. Now the animals begin to get bigger, and the first of the outback's serious snakes arrives. The mulga snake, often called the king brown, is one of the longest venomous snakes in Australia, a heavy-bodied animal that can pass 9 feet. It ranges across almost the entire arid interior, at home in the mulga scrub that gives it its name. What sets the mulga apart is not the strength of its venom, but the sheer amount of it. When this snake bites, it does not deliver a quick, clean nip. It bites down and chews, and it injects a volume of venom that is among the largest of any snake in the world. The venom itself destroys muscle tissue and attacks the blood. It is also less inclined to flee than many Australian snakes. Cornered, it will stand its ground, hiss, and strike with real commitment. And it lives exactly where people work, around the sheds and the water points and the stockyards of remote stations, drawn in by the mice and the shelter, moving mostly at the cooler edges of the day. Number 11 is the snake that makes up in volume what it lacks in reputation. Number 10. The dingo. Everyone knows there are dingoes in the outback. What most people misjudge is what a dingo actually is, and what it is capable of when the situation turns. This is not someone's stray dog gone bush. The dingo is Australia's apex land predator, a lean, intelligent, cooperative hunter that has shaped this continent's ecosystems for thousands of years. It runs in packs with a social order. It communicates, it plans, and it can bring down prey many times the size of the animals it usually takes. For the most part, dingoes want nothing to do with people and keep to the margins, heard at night more than seen. But that math changes fast wherever people have fed them, deliberately or by leaving food where they can reach it. A dingo that has lost its fear of humans is a different animal, and on Australia's Fraser Island, where dingoes and tourists overlap, that loss of fear has led to serious, and in the worst cases fatal, attacks, several of them on children. The animal that looks like a friendly yellow dog at a distance is a wild predator that has simply learned, in most places, that we are not worth the risk. Where it unlearns that, it is a genuine threat. Number 10 is the predator hiding behind a familiar shape. Number 9. The parentiae. Here is where the outback starts to feel genuinely prehistoric, because there is a giant lizard out here and most people outside Australia have never heard of it. The parentiae is the largest monitor lizard in Australia and one of the largest in the world, reaching lengths well over 6 feet. It is a close relative of the same family that includes the Komodo dragon, and seeing one move across open ground, body raised, tongue testing the air, is one of the strangest sights the interior offers. It is powerful, fast over short distances, and armed with long claws and a mouthful of sharp, backward curving teeth. Recent science has shown that monitor lizards of this group carry venom-producing glands, adding an anticoagulant bite to the damage the teeth already do. A parentiae will almost always flee to a burrow or up a tree long before you get near it. They are shy, and that shyness, combined with how remote their country is, means most Australians will never see one in the wild. But a large cornered monitor is a serious animal capable of rearing up and defending itself with claws, tail, and jaws. Number 9 is a dragon hiding in one of the emptiest quarters of the country. Number 8. The wedge-tailed eagle. We are over halfway, and if you are still with me, you are clearly someone who actually wants to know what shares this country. So, if you have not yet, this is the moment to subscribe, because the animals from here up are the ones people underestimate the most. The wedge-tailed eagle is Australia's largest bird of prey, with a wingspan that can approach 9 feet, among the largest of any eagle on Earth. Out over the outback, you will see it long before you understand its scale. A dark shape riding the thermals so high it looks small, until it drops. This is a bird that hunts live prey and works the roadkill and the young of larger animals, and it is strong enough to take kangaroo joeys and lambs. Its talons close with enough force to crush, and its eyesight lets it read the ground from a height where it is barely a speck to us. It will not hunt you. But wedge-tailed eagles are defensive of their nests, and there are well-documented accounts of them striking hang gliders, paragliders, and drones that stray into their airspace, knocking aircraft clean out of the sky. Number 8 is the shadow that passes over you a moment before you look up. Number 7, the feral camel. Now the list starts to surprise people because the next animal has no business being here at all, and there are hundreds of thousands of them. Australia has the largest population of wild dromedary camels on Earth. Not native, not in a zoo, wild, roaming the deep desert in herds. They are the descendants of camels brought in through the 1800s to carry supplies and build the inland, then released when trucks and rail made them redundant. They never left. A bull camel stands taller than a man at the shoulder and can weigh well over 1,000 pounds. Out in the remote deserts, they roam in numbers that damage waterholes and fences and flatten infrastructure simply by leaning on it. For a traveller, the danger is twofold. A camel that feels cornered, or a bull in season, is a huge, powerful, unpredictable animal that can kick, bite, and trample. And on the long, empty desert highways, a 1,000-pound animal wandering onto the road at night is a lethal collision waiting to happen, far from any help. Number 7 is a creature from the other side of the world, gone wild in the Australian desert for a century and a half, in numbers almost nobody expects. Number 6, the feral pig. If the camel is the surprise of the open desert, the feral pig is the danger of the scrub and the river country that threads through it. Brought to Australia with the first European ships and escaped into the bush ever since, feral pigs now number in the millions across the continent. Out in the Outback's watercourses and floodplains, they move mostly at night, and they are nothing like the pink animals of a farmyard. Generations in the wild have made them lean, tusked, muscular, and aggressive. A big boar can weigh well over 200 pounds and carries self-sharpening tusks that it uses to fight. Cornered, wounded, or protecting young, a feral pig will charge, and those tusks can open a deep wound fast. Hunters and dogs are injured by them every year. They are also a moving reservoir of disease, rooting through exactly the water sources that people and livestock depend on out here, and tearing up the land so thoroughly that whole ecosystems collapse behind them. Number 6 is a farm animal turned feral predator, out there in the dark of the river country, in numbers no one can fully count. Number 5, the western brown snake, the guada. Now we reach the snakes that genuinely define the danger of the inland, and the western brown is the one people meet most. Brown snakes as a group are responsible for more snakebite deaths in Australia than any other, and the western brown, the guada, ranges across almost the entire arid and semi-arid interior. It is fast, nervous, and alert, and its venom carries powerful toxins that attack the blood's ability to clot and, in serious cases, the nerves. What makes it so dangerous is a combination of behavior and disguise. It is exactly the color of the dry country it lives in, ranging from pale sand to dark earth, so it blends into the road and the dirt perfectly. And it is active and quick to move, which means encounters are common exactly where people walk and drive. The bite is often painless at first and can seem minor. That is the trap. Without treatment, the venom's effect on clotting can turn catastrophic hours later. It is the snake that has taught remote communities to carry a compression bandage and to know precisely how far away the nearest help is. Number 5 is the quiet sand-coloured snake that kills more Australians than any dramatic monster ever has. Number 4, the death adder. If the western brown is the snake that moves, the death adder is the snake that does the exact opposite And that is what makes it so dangerous. The death adder does not flee. It does not patrol. It buries itself in leaf litter, sand, or gravel, with only its eyes and a thin lure of tail exposed, and it waits, sometimes for days, for prey to wander close. It is an ambush hunter with a short, thick body and the fastest strike of any snake in Australia, striking and returning to position in a fraction of a second. Because it stays put when everything else flees, the death adder is the snake you are most likely to actually stand on. A walker steps over a log, puts a foot down in the leaf litter on the far side, and lands beside an animal that has no intention of moving. Its venom is a powerful neurotoxin that shuts down the nerves that drive breathing. It lies along exactly the trails and sandy margins people walk at dusk, invisible until the moment it is too late, trusting a camouflage so complete that people have stood beside one for minutes without ever seeing it. Number 4 is the one that does not run, the one you have to be unlucky enough to touch, and out here people do. Number 3, the inland taipan. Now the animal whose name gets used to frighten people the world over, and for once the reputation is earned by the numbers. The inland taipan is, drop for drop, the most venomous land snake in the world. A single bite is measured to contain enough venom, in theory, to kill many times over. Its venom is a fast, brutal cocktail that attacks the nerves and the blood at once, and untreated, a serious bite can be fatal in under an hour. And here is the twist that fits this list perfectly. The most venomous snake on Earth is also one of the shyest and most reclusive. It lives in some of the most remote, cracked, and inhospitable country in the entire interior, the black soil floodplains of the far inland, where almost nobody ever goes. It is so isolated that for decades it was almost a rumor. There were long stretches where scientists had almost no specimens, and its bite has caused very few recorded human cases precisely because so few people ever come near it. That is the point. The single deadliest snake on the planet by venom is not the one you are most likely to meet. It has survived by living where we do not, in a corner of the outback so harsh that its remoteness is its disguise. Number 3 is the deadliest venom on Earth, hidden in the emptiest country on the continent. Number 2. The saltwater crocodile. Now, a fair warning, because we have been strict about staying inland on this list, and this animal earns its place at the exact edge where the dry outback meets the water. Across the far north of the continent, the arid interior does not simply stop at a coastline. It is threaded by rivers, billabongs, and gorges that push deep inland into country that is otherwise pure outback. And in that water lives the largest living reptile on Earth. A big male saltwater crocodile can pass 20 feet and weigh over a ton. It is an ambush predator of almost unimaginable patience and power, capable of lying motionless for hours with only its eyes above the surface, then exploding upward with a force nothing on land can match. It is one of the very few animals that will actively hunt a human as prey. And here is why it belongs on an outback list. Travelers crossing the remote north reach these inland waterholes and gorges after days in dry country, hot, tired, and desperate to swim, and they misjudge how far up these rivers a saltwater crocodile will range. People have been taken from the edges of pools that look, for all the world, like a safe inland swimming hole in the middle of nowhere. Locals in the far north do not guess. They do not swim in unmarked water, ever, because they know the animal that may be waiting has been perfecting this exact ambush for 100 million years. Number 2 is the reason a cool, still waterhole at the edge of the outback is the most dangerous invitation in Australia. Number 1, and the most dangerous animal in the Australian outback is not the one with the most venom, or the biggest jaws, or the longest body. It is the one the people who actually live out here have learned to fear in a quieter, more practical way. Because on the remote stations and in the deep desert, The thing most likely to end a trip badly is not a dramatic monster at all. It is the animal you never see coming, in a place with no help for hundreds of miles. Out here, distance is the real killer, and the Outback's most dangerous animals are the ones that use that distance against you. A snakebite that would be a manageable emergency an hour from a hospital becomes something else entirely when the nearest antivenom is a half-day's drive across dirt. When there is no phone signal, when a single person is alone at a bore or a fence line with no one due to check on them for days. That is why the locals' real rule is not about one species. It is about the country itself. They do not walk in long grass at dusk without watching their feet. They do not put a hand where they cannot see. They do not swim in still water. They do not travel the remote tracks without water, a plan, and someone who knows exactly when to raise the alarm if they do not call in. Because every animal on this list shares one strategy: it hides. In a landscape that looks like it has nowhere to hide anything, they have made a living out of being unseen until the last possible second. And the Outback hides them the way it hides everything, in plain sight, patiently, in all that red and open distance, until you would never know they were there at all. So, here is what this list is really about. Not fear. This is one of the most extraordinary landscapes on Earth, and it is worth every mile. It is about the gap between how empty it looks and how much it actually holds. The taipan is still out there in the cracked black soil where no one goes. The brown snake is still the exact color of the road. The crocodile is still waiting at the edge of the green water, and somewhere out in that enormous silence, everything on this list is doing what this country taught it to do. Waiting, the way the Outback has waited, since long before there was anyone here to cross it and call it empty. If this changed the way you see that empty country in the middle of the map, subscribe, because the next one goes somewhere just as wild. And tell me in the comments which of these 13 surprised you the most. I have a feeling it was not the one at number 1.